be able to hear us.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry, all these different levels. Well, are we about to go
Yeah,
live,
yeah.
Heather?
Hello, Facebook world. We are here. Good thing you love
There we
us.
go.
We miss you guys, and we have a good speaker today. Take it over, Casey.
All right. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome
Volume's
to
muted.
our live stream here. We've been meeting ever since COVID had locked us down. So, Good Medicine Way as a ministry has been meeting for over 2 years now, and going on our third. Things are looking really good. Prospects for starting a church here in Albuquerque are growing really, really well. I'm thinking that we'll have probably by November we might be meeting face to face again. But I notice other ministries across the country are meeting outdoors, and maybe that's something that we can work on here in the future. Have us a gathering outdoors uh, with social distance and all of that in place. But we're still at it, and very glad to be a part of your life, and glad you're a part of our lives now on this live stream. This evening, we're going to have a special speaker, friend of mine that I met back in 2001. A whole story there would take too long to tell, but from that meeting, Duane Bristow and I have been longtime friends. I, he came to a meeting where I was speaking, and ever since then, I worked with them at the Brethren in Christ Mission in Bloomfield, New Mexico, towards the Four Corners area. He's done a great job there over these years and has great relationship with the Navajo people in that area. And we want to give him some time to talk today about BIC Navajo Mission and share some of the ups and downs, the good, the not so well, the challenges that he's had, the triumph that he's had, building relationships with Navajo people, and doing it in a contextual way. He was one of the first in the country to have a Christian drum group that started and is still going whenever we do meet together. And so I'd like to introduce you to Duane Bristow from Bloomfield, New Mexico. But I think we're going to have a song first, aren't we?
A couple, yep.
Okay, we're going to turn it over to the Grovers, and they're going to open our worship with a song. Take it away, guys.
All right. So, first song will be "Come and See" by Jonathan Miracle. risen one.
Not sure if it's me, Heather, but it sounds like the music is breaking up really bad.
That is not us.
Hold on, we got it. Okay. Yeah, no, we're okay. No, somehow our mic got muted. Okay, here we go. To adore the risen one, to adore the risen one, to adore the risen sun. Way oh high, way high, oh high, way oh high, way oh high. All right. All right.
Casey, do you want
do
to?
you want to introduce Duane further, or do we just want to let him hit the ground running?
You're muted now.
Hey guys, yeah, go ahead and continue on. I did my introduction for Duane already.
All right, Duane, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Leah, enjoyed that song. Man, sometimes I get a little envious of you guys that we're not supposed to envy, are we? But being able to be in a big city, and I kind of want to touch on some of those things this evening because we started out in Farmington in 2001, March 4th of 2001. We opened up First Nations Gathering. Now, I'm the director of the mission here, and we do a lot at the mission. But I know we want to focus tonight on our churches and the way we're doing ministry. And I met Casey back in 2001, and it was kind of a chance meeting because I didn't know all of this was going on. When we moved out here, we were involved in a little church, old missionaries from way back, you know, and you had to do it this way and you couldn't do it that way, and you had to cut your hair and quit wearing those clothes and don't beat those drums and don't wave those feathers, sort of thing. So I kind of got into that, and then somebody told me that they had only worldwide had only reached, oh my goodness, what was it, 3% of native people with the gospel. It was somewhere, it's a very low number. And I thought, well, you know, that's just not right, not with the message that we have. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought, well, you're trying to take these people's culture away from them. And so I started looking for ways to find a remedy to that, I guess you might say. My friend Ben Stoner, many years before we came out here, had written music that was tonally correct for the Navajo language, but nobody wanted it because it sounded like that powwow stuff. And so anyway, I got his music, a little small hand drum, and we started First Nations Gathering there in Farmington on March the 4th. We're pretty excited about being March 4th because we thought, well, we're going to March 4th. And so I'll always remember that date. But we started out just with that. A little later on, I found a regular sized powwow drum. Now we have two of those. But we started kind of changing things around and beginning to go in that direction with contextual ministry there in Farmington. And it grew quickly. People caught it. People caught on to it. They liked it. And we grew pretty quickly. In 2005, I believe it was, gas prices started going through the roof. And of course, we were packing everything up. We were living out here 30 miles south of Bloomfield. And so we were driving every Sunday, packing everything up because we were renting a building, packing everything up and going into town, doing our service, and then driving back out here. Gas prices went through the roof, so we decided, well, let's move it out to the mission. We've got the gymnasium. We can sit in a big circle. You know, it looked like there was going to be a whole lot more opportunities for that. And so we moved everything out here and began First Nations Fellowship here, 30 miles south of Bloomfield. It didn't take long for us to get a whole lot of kickback. In fact, I can remember one morning, one of the ladies in the neighborhood called us up and said she wanted to come over and talk to us. And so she knocked on the door that morning. We invited her in. And one of the first things out of her mouth said, you know, I've lived here all my life, and I have never, ever seen a drum at that mission. And so she just lit right into us. And we listened and took in what she had to say, and then we talked back and forth. She left with a little bit different attitude, but not much. That was back in 2005. Today, she's behind us. She's really supportive. comes in here all the time, talks to us, sit down. She's an evangelist, and so she moves around a lot, and she uh, doesn't attend church in that sense. They go to these revivals more than anything. But that would kind of give you an indication, though, of what happened, how it was received, and it's been extremely. People have been extremely resistant. I think we had more acceptance from the traditional community, even some of the NAC community. If you don't know what NAC is, it's Native American Church, which uh, take another definition, another explanation. But we have had them come into service. I've done two NAC funerals for families, and they knew where I stood before they ever asked. But it gave me the opportunity for an open door. We've made a lot of friends with traditional people and a lot of friends with the NAC people. And those really are our goal. You know, they're our target people that we want to reach. But it's been a long road, and I've learned a lot from the things that we've done. We've seen a whole lot of changes out here, and I'm hoping tonight, you know, we can have kind of a monologue or a dialogue instead of me just doing all the talking, at least in a little bit. But when Casey and I, you know, met, Casey kind of became my mentor and just taught me a lot of stuff about some of these things. I really didn't know it existed. Like I said, I went and got Ben's music, started it out. For some reason, Casey and I wound up in the same meeting, and he started telling me this was happening over here and this is happening over there. And so I got more and more involved with different groups that were involved in contextual ministry. And boy, I tell you, I've just met a lot of great people. This has been, you know, it's been quite a journey. Of course, one of my highlights, I suppose, is getting and working with Richard Twist. And of course, I know all of us miss Richard, but some of his books and some of the things that we talked about over the years have just been instrumental in the direction that we've taken. We came out here and we started out in the gym. We set the drum right out in the middle where they have the basketball tip-offs, and everybody else sat around on the outside. We did that probably for 2 or 3 months. We would open up with a song, then I would talk a little bit. We'd have another song, I would talk a little bit. Have another song, I would talk a little bit. I would get through my message, interspersing it with our songs. It just didn't seem to click. And so one day we decided next Sunday we're going to set up powwow style. We're going to have the drum down at the end of the court. We're going to set the chairs up around the perimeter of the basketball court. And that Sunday when we had that meeting, after it was over, people came up and said it was so much better because now they felt like they were included in the service. What they felt like by me sitting there at the drum and then singing and then talking, they said it felt like you were just talking to the guys around the drum. And so when we opened it up like that, it really made a lot of difference. We had a few dancers come in that would dance and things like that. These were more traditional people, but they were there in a Christian service, and everything was going pretty well. One of the NAC families that came in, this was pretty interesting because prior to all this, NAC or traditional would rarely step foot on our mission ground. And then all of a sudden we had this NAC family coming in. And of course, you know, we told them that, you know, how we did things and that, some of the NAC thing. We didn't go with the peyote or anything like that, but of course they were welcome. And the mom she just loved it, and she brought the whole family in, and they were there every Sunday. It was pretty remarkable, and so we would see more and more. Then that lady died. And of course, we have a matriarchal society out here, so when she died, things kind of disappeared. But nonetheless, we've still had, quite a few coming in and visiting with us. Over the years, and here is what I've learned, and I told Casey earlier today, if I knew back then what I knew now, or what I know now, I would have done things differently. And I want to try to explain that. You guys mostly are in a large city. And like I said, when we went into Farmington, it went very well. Church grew. We pretty much filled up the building every Sunday. And it was an old, I think, Methodist building with the lectern up on the side. Of course, we did everything right there on the floor, had the drum in the front. But, everybody's still sitting in rows. Everybody's looking at the back of somebody else's head. And so it worked, but it was still a little bit, I don't know what you call it, off center or what. And so when we ultimately decided to move out here, we thought, well, this is great. We'll be able to sit in a circle. Man, it should just explode. But it didn't. We would run sometime as high as 35, 40 people. On a special occasion, we might have as high as 50. And out here, that's not too bad. It seems like we were trying to break through a barrier, and I never could put my finger on it until I guess just recently, and I got thinking about these things. If I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have brought the contextual ministry in like gangbusters. I would have opened up a church, did a regular service, and taught on contextual ministry, slowly easing some of these things in. But by bringing it in like we did, just headlong, rushing right into it, I think we put up a barrier for a lot of people. We're out here on the eastern side of the reservation. A lot of these, there's Christians, there's NAC, there's traditional, and most of the Christians out here are so anti-contextual ministry, it's really difficult and has been very difficult. Over the years, people have come to accept us and accept what we're doing to a certain degree. And so as I look back on it, I'm thinking, like I said, if I had to do it again, I would open up the church and I would begin to teach on contextual ministry. I'd have people like Casey in. Of course, back then I could have had Richard in. We could have had various ones in that have been involved in this much longer than me anyway, and taught it in a way, hopefully, that would be more palatable, more acceptable, to the people we want to reach. There are probably some people now, and well, I know there are some people now that won't come out here because of what we do. Now, they're a minority. There are not very many of them. But nonetheless, these are people that have turned away that I kind of feel like had I done it in a different manner, we might be able to speak to them. But we have put a barrier in that sense because of that. And I regret that. And so if we were in a big city, that's where my envy comes in. You guys are in a big city. You've got a lot of opportunity there. You've got people who are more accepting because you have such a large diversity in the population there, where we have a smaller diversity and people who are less accepting of things coming in that they're not familiar with, like what I brought in. So those are just some of the things that we've done. We've tried to direct our outreach like I said, to those who have rejected the gospel because it seemingly threatened their culture. And I think probably that's what we're all doing, is trying to reach people who would reject the gospel because it seems to threaten their culture. And I think we know that the gospel doesn't threaten the culture. The only thing that threatens a culture probably is the way it's presented. And so I would look at that differently. I don't know that they rejected the gospel as much as they reject our presentation of it. We might want to say the white man's gospel, which I've heard that term quite a bit, but yet you can take a white man's gospel, a black man's gospel, a red man's gospel, and all of it has some element of our humanity added into it. All of it has this, you can't do that because we don't believe in that, or you've got to do this because, well, that's the way it's supposed to be done. We want to reach, we try to draw them to church. Does anybody have this problem of trying to draw people to church and then suddenly realizing we don't need to draw them to church, we need to draw them to Christ? You know, he said if we would draw close to him, he would draw close to us. And I think sometimes we focus on drawing them to something instead of someone. That's my personal opinion. But it seems to kind of play out over the things that we've seen over the years. And our goal ought to be to draw them to Christ more than anything. Now, you know, I believe in this contextual ministry. I will use it, you know, until they put me in a pine box. But at least as long as I'm out here in this area, and I'll be 75 here in a few days, and I don't have any plans on leaving anytime soon. I think probably the only way I'm going to leave is they carry me out. But nonetheless, it's been an amazing journey. And it's been one that, you know, I couldn't have possibly anticipated coming out. For those of you that don't know, we came out here to stay 3 months. We've been here over 20 years now because I just fell in love with the people, fell in love with the land, fell in love with the ministry, the type of ministry. I fell in love with the challenge. There's an amazing challenge out here. And, you know, if you're in ministry and you don't like challenge, you better find another vocation. Because in ministry, I don't care where you are and in what kind of area you're in, there's going to be challenges, and some of those challenges can be awfully difficult. And so it's just so imperative that we maintain that closeness with Christ, draw ourselves into Him, draw close to Him, and then draw other people into Him. Yeah, we've got something to offer that's different. You know, it's not the standard church the way we've always seen it. And, you know, we've got people out here that are still doing that. It's some of these churches you walk in, it's like walking back into the 60s and 70s, still doing things the same old way. I mean, it works for them, but they're not reaching anybody. They're family churches. They're not reaching out. They're not evangelistic in any way. It's just mostly, you know, ministering to families and things like that, which is all right. But I think our goal as followers of Christ is to get out and reach others. So that's pretty much where we've been and where God has taken us in this last 20 years. And as I've seen, you know, as I see like Brian and Leah, and I've seen some of the things that Casey is doing, and some of the other churches that are stepping out into, it's not unknown territory, but it's not familiar territory. It's unfamiliar territory. When I see people doing that, there's a big need for people like Casey. You know, I wish Richard was still here, but you still got a lot of good people out there that are much more familiar with all of this and have been more involved in big areas and in areas that are a lot different than where we are. This is a different area. It's a different world out here. It's different than the reservation down by, say, Gallup. It's different than the reservation over by Shiprock. One of the things that I've learned is, as huge as this reservation is, it's almost like taking in the United States, where you have people up in the north, people down in the south, people over in the west, people up in the Midwest, and each one of them have a different culture, same people. And here on the reservation, as large as it is, you've got the northern reservation, western reservation, we're on the eastern reservation. You've got different cultures within that, even though they are all Navajo. And you can tell difference, like if you go up to the north, you can tell people's accent. Love to go up north and hear people talking. But you can obviously tell I'm not from the north. I'm from the south. And so even on the reservation, sometimes there are accents and difference in language. Some words are pronounced different. And so those are things that are challenges anywhere we go. But, the main point of it is that it would be great to have more maybe conferences or seminars or something like that. When Richard was here, we used to have those quite often. And, Casey and I have joined in on those quite often and worked together. But it seems like we don't have that as much as we used to. I'd really love to see that, because more and more people are wanting to get involved in ministry to Native Americans all across the United States, all across North America, as far as that's concerned. And yet they don't know how to do it. They get an idea, kind of like I did. They get an idea and they rush right into it without somebody who has a lot of experience in it guiding them. And, I certainly enjoyed the time that Richard was teaching. I've always enjoyed Casey's teaching. And I personally believe we need a whole lot more of that. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you tonight. We've got an amazing opportunity as followers of Christ to reach others with the gospel, and especially those who, like I say, have rejected the gospel because it seemingly threatened their culture. For me, it enhances the culture. It brings the best out in people, and I've seen it too many times. I've seen it a lot. I've seen it when I'm working with a program, and I've seen it when I'm working with a mission, but especially when I'm working in the church. And so being able to share that with you guys and hopefully plant a seed in getting something like that started. And I think, if I'm understanding right, I kind of think that's what you guys, Leah and Brian, are doing there in Albuquerque. And I know you've got a good mentor there in Casey, but we need to see a whole lot more of it. We need to see a lot of it. So that's pretty much it for me. I really appreciate you inviting me in to share. I always hope that I've got something that you can use, but if we can communicate more on this level, it would be great. Brian, Leah, is this something that you do every week? Is this available? Because I hadn't noticed it.
Yep.
We started, I don't know, a couple years ago meeting, but then, but since the pandemic lockdowns and everything, we've been doing it online every week. So we're here every Monday evening.
Yeah, this is not comfortable for me. One thing is settled on this: I am not a televangelist. Don't want to be. But just to know that this is here, and I can. Is it if I check in, I've got to do it on Facebook, right?
And we will make sure that you are invited, because you are my Facebook friend. I'll make sure that you and Diane are both specifically invited to the Good Medicine Way group.
Wonderful.
And then you'll be able to be there every Monday.
Yeah. So how we run it is we have like the Zoom session, and that's usually kind of like the core people and special guests kind of come to that. But then we also live stream the session onto Facebook. So like if someone's not got like the greatest connection, they can just watch it. Of course they can't, and they can. We try to monitor the comment feed on Facebook, and so people can type in questions there. But so people who want to be more directly involved join the Zoom session, and then folks who just want to kind of just watch it and maybe just hear the songs and the message, but not necessarily dialogue. Usually just watch it on the Facebook live stream. But yeah.
Okay. Once it's on Facebook, does it stay there? Or
Yeah.
once it's over, is it gone?
No, it should. So far, we've had a couple glitches, but for the most part, the messages are archived on Facebook. So like people can go back and watch them later, or if they want to like review what was said. But yeah, so they can, the videos are on our Facebook page and people can access them at any time. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I really would appreciate an invite to do that and just be in. We certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of good because the Nate's conference was a few weeks ago, and we ended up the last few weeks having a lot of the speakers who presented at Nate's came and spoke as part of our group. So we've got a lot of good videos archived that you might be able to use with some of the people you're working with up there and stuff too. I think that would be awesome to see those videos and that knowledge that was shared in those things. Dispersed.
That would be.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely kind of scroll through the page and you can check out the past videos. But yeah, we're here every Monday evening. So yeah.
And that's on your page, Leah, or another?
It's on the Good Medicine Way Facebook group. There's a separate page. I have my own personal page, and then there's a Good Medicine Way Facebook group. So I'll make sure you get it.
I think I'm on that group.
Okay.
I don't get on Facebook a whole lot. But,
okay.
Sometimes I'll broadcast our service on Sunday. But like I said, I'm not a televangelist. So.
Yeah, we'll make sure. And one thing I'd like to hear a little bit of your experience on, and you touched on it a little bit, but a lot of times doing any kind of contextualized work, because even, back in the 70s and 80s and that time, you saw a lot of similar kinds of issues with like the music and using kind of, more rock and roll kinds of music within the church. And that was really controversial. And that's kind of like a smaller subset of like the same kind of things you see doing contextualized missions. Of course, when you're talking about a whole cultural thing, it's a lot bigger and more invested than just kind of like a subculture of like a music style or something. But often it seems like, when you're trying to do contextualized stuff, often like you're too Christian for the traditional people, but you're too traditional for the Christian folks. And just like, any notable experiences and how you've, navigated that over the years and, any key lessons in that kind of respect.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think probably all of us that get involved in this sooner or later compare it to back when they wouldn't allow the guitar in the church, or, I mean, there's still some churches don't use any musical instruments at all. But I think a lot of times we have a tendency to want to compare it to that. But like you said, we're facing an entire culture here. And that brings up a whole new set of challenges when we're facing another culture like this. And we came in, I'm finding it takes a whole lot more time to learn a culture than just coming out and being here a few months. And as far as the mission, we have mission teams that come out and they get to experience working with another culture for a little while. But they've not been here. I mean, Diane and I have been here now, here in this area, over 20 years. And, we're still finding out things where we probably should have done something a little different. I couldn't bring out anything in detail right now. But, we've seen things over the years that we've known the Navajo people. We've been living among them for this period of time. But yet there are still things that we're learning about the culture where, if we think back on it, we would have been a little more cautious. Just like I wouldn't have come in here gangbusters and brought contextual ministry in without first doing some good, solid teaching on it, having good teachers come in who were more familiar with it than I was. So things like that, getting to know the culture is just paramount. And I certainly don't know it as well as I would like to know it. Trying to learn the language, but man, when you get up in years, it's hard to remember some English words. So, trying to learn a new language, especially one that's as difficult as Navajo is, that's almost out of the question. But still, there are things about the culture that you need to learn. And I've had new staff come in, and it's kind of funny sometimes to watch them. And I go ahead and let them make their mistakes. If I can see something that I'm going to help them avoid something that would not be a good thing, then I'm going to jump right in and do that. But for the most part, I like to see them make mistakes and learn from their mistakes, because they're going to learn better than me telling them, well, this doesn't work. Well, why doesn't that work? Now, I've had people go, well, I've got to do it a different way. And that always kind of gets me, because I've been out here 20 years and I've seen things that work. And to have somebody come out that maybe spends a week here at a time for a couple of years, and they see a way they can do it better. Don't misunderstand me. Sometimes they do see some pretty good things. But when it comes to cultural things, it's a totally different story, totally different. And so it's oftentimes rather amusing to see new staff come in and learn some of the things that they really need to learn to get involved in the culture. And we all still make mistakes. That's just the way it is. And I'm still learning.
So having the humility to learn the culture rather than just kind of blazing in with what you think is going on. I think that's what I hear you saying.
Yeah, we're fix-it people, aren't we? We like to go in and fix things. And we go in and spot something. Hey, this is wrong. No, it's not wrong. It's just different. And that's one of the things that we've had to pull back on. You can call it humility. You can call it being cautious. Any number of things that you could put a label on it. But the fact is that we're facing a different culture, and if we haven't been raised in that culture, we don't have any people who think differently. I don't know totally how some of these things work. I do understand that Anglos, Belagana, whatever you want to call us, they say we think in a linear manner, step 1, step 2, step 3, where Native people think in a circular manner. That's why they like to sit in a circle. That's why they talk about the 4 seasons coming around. Everything goes in a circle. Everything has to do with that circle. I don't understand that. I understand it better now than I did 15 years ago, but still that's something foreign to me. And that's just a small example. There are a whole lot of things in a culture like this that we don't understand and probably never will understand. And so that's where we have to be humble or cautious or whatever. Casey and I decided, well, we're going to have powwow out here. Whoa. That same lady come knocking on my door, said, same phrase. I've been here all these years, lived my life here. I've never seen a powwow at that mission. I started to say, well, you have now, but I didn't say that. But like I say, she's become a pretty good supporter of ours. She doesn't like the drum still. We do have one lady who was so adamantly against it. Her husband was a roadman. And of course, once God came into her life through Christ, completely changed everything, and she pulled away from everything. And so she had a real difficult time with the drum. She liked to come to our services and some of the events we put on. But once that drum came out, you knew she was headed for the door. She wasn't going to have anything to do with it. It's something cultural in her. that, it taken us time to understand. We had a young lady one time, one of our friends who knew what we were doing, her son had died of hantavirus. There's been quite a problem with hantavirus out on the reservation during certain times. And her son had died of hantavirus. And so every year she had a memorial basketball tournament. And she came to us one year and said, could I hold our basketball tournament, our memorial, at your gym? And would you bring the drum out during halftime? I said, sure, be glad to. And so we did. And so they played their first half, and we had the drum set up, and we sang just a couple of songs. I didn't pay a lot of attention to what was going on around. I did see one young lady kind of take off. And as soon as we got done, I'm walking back toward the kitchen, and here comes this young lady. She's probably 25, young girl. And I'm walking in, she's coming in right behind me, said, are you going to play any more of that powwow music? I said, excuse me? She said, are you going to play any more of that powwow music? I said, did you happen to listen to the words? She said, no, I don't listen to that stuff. I've been delivered from that stuff. I said, knowing me, well, have you been delivered from being Native American? Well, I know my people, and my people are evil. That's what she said to me. This young 25-year-old Navajo girl says to me, I know my people, the whole bunch of them, and they're evil. And I was at a loss for words because I'd never had anybody say something like that to me. And I know what went through my mind of who was the idiot that told her that this whole culture of people were evil because of their language or because of their skin color or whatever it is. Who told her that a whole set or a whole culture of people were evil? Well, I've got a few years to think on that now. And so I see those things. And I saw a lot of it when we first moved out there. I saw a lot of that. And those kind of things are hard to overcome when it's been drilled into them. And they've been told that all of this is just so wrong, and yet it's a part of their culture. And it's like turning away from your culture, turning away from your people. And then where's your identity? Where do you get your identity if you leave your culture? You're not white. You turned away from your Navajo people. Where do you get your identity? And one of the things that I read about was a country over in Russia, outside of Russia, who, when the Russians came in and took over that country and tried to make Russians out of all of those people, the alcohol rate went sky high. They all turned to drinking. I think we got a little problem with that out here. It's because people have lost their identity. They don't know who they are. And one of the things that we focus in a lot on is you need to know who you are and who God created you to be. If God created you white, if he created you brown, if he created you red, whatever, you need to know that, and you need to understand how God created you and glorify God in the way he created you. That's kind of hard to get across, especially when something has been drilled into somebody's mindset so long and so radically. I don't know any other way to put it.
All right. Any other questions from our Zoom session people or anything on the Facebook stream?
Hey guys, this is Heather. We just went through the central area of Albuquerque and Crane, doing our driving. We can't film right now because we don't want you to get all that movement and things like that. But we just really want to thank Duane for coming on and speaking up about contextual ministry in terms of healing, for healing, and just actually backing this up too, because It's really needed. I feel like we all need to lean on each other do the contextual ministry so that we can build up trust with the community and just like across the nations of churches like these so that it can grow from there as well.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
People on Facebook are welcome to type a question or a comment, and I'll share it.
All right. Well, why don't we
Well-
do
I'm on here now if you want to give me a little word.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Duane, it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish out there through all the things that happened. You know, we've experienced a lot of hate, a lot of misunderstanding. A lot of people, especially some of those conservative churches there, are so indoctrinated to believe that their culture is evil. And if they know their Bible, they know that God doesn't create evil. He doesn't want us to be there. God created good. Yeah. And when he created us, he created good. It was the missionaries and the mind misunderstood the culture. It had a lot to do with racism, had a lot to do with superiority complex that the Europeans had, I believe. I don't pull any punches. There's a lot of things that need to be redone in Christian mission, and Duane has been at the forefront with me and several others to make this happen. And I just want to give you the honor you need, Duane, for sticking it out and making it happen there. So I just wanted to share that for a little bit here.
Well, Casey, I appreciate you always being there when I needed you. You know, you talk about racism, things like that, but all of it, the root is ignorance. When it comes right down to it, the root of it is ignorance. And ignorance is not a bad thing. Ignorance just simply means you don't know something. It's not stupid, it's ignorant. You don't know something, and people just need to be educated. Some people are not willing to be educated. Some people already know it all, and that makes things pretty difficult. As I read the word, God wants us to be always teachable, always be willing to learn things. So, yeah, for me, the base of it is ignorance.
One thing I've learned is I'm working for a BA at UNM in Native American Studies with a minor in Navajo language now, is that I really come to feel that there are a lot of ways, Native American life ways, ways of thinking. For instance, one thing I learned is that the kind of European, North American highest value is obtaining the desired object, whereas the highest value for Native Americans is the harmony. Casey, your microphone is on still. Kablam.
Thought I had it off. How about now?
You're
still on.
Still live.
There you go. Okay. So the highest value for Native Americans is the harmony between all beings, people, spirits, animals in all times. And to me, that really just reminds me of the body of Christ. And I think North Americans, Europeans tend to be very individualistic. And I think we have a lot, Native lifeways, I think, could go a lot in as far as us healing. I think they have a lot to offer us, but we've smushed them and oppressed them for 5 centuries, so they maybe don't feel a whole lot like helping us out. But I'm definitely wanting to open up that dialogue and do a lot of listening and learning from them. So
I can understand that, certainly. Glad to hear you're learning the language. How's that going?
Nijoni.
Uh, yeah, I understand. I've got a few phrases, but I often wonder, because even in English we have accents. I was wondering if in Navajo they have accents also. Well, I'm sure they do because of the north, south, east, and west. But yeah, yeah, you're right about Europeans being individualists, and as far as I'm concerned, that's all right. That's the way we are. That's our culture. Uh, but you also have to take into account that we left our home country, and that takes a lot of individualism to be able to do something like that. People out here they've got the clan system, which is awfully powerful. The clan system is very powerful, and we as Anglos don't have anything like that. And so that's another thing that's a little bit difficult for me to understand. Uh, Diane, she's got that clan system down, boy. She knows if somebody tells her what their clan is, she can tell them the rest of her family. She's pretty good at that. But man, it's lost on me. I don't get the clan system very easily. Understand about that much of it, and that's about it. But yeah, we as Anglos or Europeans are pretty individualist, but Native people are more collective, and I understand exactly what you're saying there.
And as far as I think something we have to learn from that is a better understanding of the body of Christ and how we're supposed to be interdependent. Yeah, I think we have a lot to learn from that perspective.
Each part works for the good of the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Each member.
All right. Well, I think maybe we can insert a song here and give people a chance to kind of think about things. And then because Heather and Preston said they weren't at a good spot yet to do their prayer thing. So
We're back, guys, just so you know. Sorry about that.
Okay, did you guys want to do your prayer time or should we do a song first?
Let's do our prayer time. Dear Lord, Creator, you go by many different names, by many different tribes, tongues, and those were forcibly taken from a lot of us, Lord. And I just pray that we relearn to worship you in the ways that we have always done and will do. Just pray for the language revitalization, just like springing back up, bringing dead tongues back to life. Because that's who you are. You are the way maker. You are the promise keeper. You are the light in the darkness. And that is exactly who you are. So I just pray that for leading a good medicine way into the world. Because I know everyone needs a prayer like that now and then. So yeah, there are prayers that cannot be spoken, Lord, but you know what they are. I feel that there is heaviness in the group for some reason, and I just know that you can handle that, and you are bigger than that, and it's gonna be good. And to say not to worry, it's okay. I'm bigger than that. Like even right now, I'm going through off the freeway and still having signal, which is awesome. So thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Did you want to do the announcements or offering talk, Preston?
I think they're... Okay.
Okay, you guys are kind of breaking up, so the bit with the offering was we were just actually going to ask you, Duane, if people want to support your ministry, what's the best way for them to do that?
Your mic got muted, Duane. We're not hearing you.
I forget. We have a website, navajobic.org. I think there's an area on there where you can subscribe to an electronic newsletter that we send out. I don't know what would be the best way I could give you an address or what would be appropriate here.
You can connect to us to Facebook about that.
Yeah, is the information on the web page, like your address and all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
All right. Yeah,
Yes,
well,
it's all on the webpage. That would be
yeah. Yeah, well, we'll go ahead and we'll add a comment in this thread with your website there, so people can connect to it that way.
Okay. Yeah, navajobic.org.
All right. Did you get it on there, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then of course for at the top of the Good Medicine Way page, there's our normal PayPal link if you want to give directly to what we're doing.
Oh, let me tell you one more thing about this book right here. It's a little notebook that my daughter made an ink block print. And if you give me a message on the Good Medicine Way Facebook page, I can. Oh, here, Brian's gonna take it. I can mail you one. She did it. We you know, it's art of depicting our life in Zitnau Dithlay, where Duane's ministry is on the Navajo Nation for a year. So I'll send you one if you Facebook message me your address. And take notes when you're listening to Good Medicine Way.
All right, so I guess we'll do a closing song then. We'll do a River of Life. Comments on the Facebook stream there?
Nothing tonight. Does Casey want to close us up in prayer? Or did you have something else?
I don't know. It looks like Casey dropped off. How's your connection there, Preston? All right. Well, looks like like looks like we got technical problems going around. All right. Well, thank you so much, Duane, for taking the time to come on and share with us about your experience and your ministry, and especially since I think you just got the invite a day or two ago. So
Last night.
okay, yeah.
All right.
So
Thank
thanks
you for inviting me.
yeah, thanks for dropping in on short notice. And yeah, and if anybody has any comments or questions that we didn't get to, feel free to put them in on the Facebook page, and we'll try to answer them after the fact as best as we can. And then I guess, do you want to close us in prayer, Leah?
Yep. Thank you, Creator, for bringing us all here tonight virtually. We pray you'd keep everyone safe and social distancing well, and that you would help us really draw close to you during this time of, extra solitude, and be glorified in our lives. Help us to shine our lights for you, God, in all the doors you open. Amen.
Amen.
Good
Hagone. All right.
Thanks again, guys. Good to see
Thank you, Duane. Good to see you.
So long.
You kind of got cut up.
All right.